Hello, welcome to Biz Pointz, created by the Kortkamp Group. I'm Larry Kortkamp, your host. For each episode, we introduce you to trending topics, smart technologies, and of course the people that impact our small business communities. We've got a great show for you today, so let's get right to it.
Create a stronger and more dynamic business. Larry Kortkamp, founding partner at the Kortkamp Group, talks with industry insiders about trending topics moving the needle, or not, for local business today. Here's your host, Larry Kortkamp.
Today, I'm with Grace Speese. Grace is the executive director of the Farmers Branch Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me, Larry. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not the prettiest day today, but I'm glad you weathered it and are here to enjoy it with me.
What better place to be than inside with some warm lights?
There you go. So Chambers of Commerce.
Yes.
Chambers have been around forever. Mm-hmm. Over the years, they seem to kind of trend in and out of where they fit within our business communities. So I was anxious to talk with you today because I'd like to intensify the relationship of chambers within our local businesses. A lot of businesses or business types tend to participate and a lot don't. So as our new executive director, can you assist me on how is the chamber relevant today in our business?
Yes, so keeping chambers relevant is very key, and it's almost that much more complex because if you think you have to keep your business relevant and you have to keep this person's business relevant, you're the reflection of all businesses. So if you're going to teach on cybersecurity, you'd better have your cybersecurity systems buttoned up. But, hey, we're not just an IT company, we're a chamber. So we also, are doing marketing and sponsorships. Well, we need to be relevant and on the cutting edge in that as well. So there's almost a higher demand, I think, for us to stay relevant to our different business needs. You also see the switch now from brick and mortar stores or office space to people who are now running virtual businesses and complete e-commerce. I think that's a whole new area of opportunity for the chambers to really dive in and to figure out how do we help those businesses to be successful.
So we're familiar with chamber meetings, right? We have a chamber meeting or a function that we do a ribbon cutting or we do something of that. But as a business, why am I going to call the chamber? What am I reaching out for as the chamber?
So a chamber truly should be a center point of your community. So for example, on my board of directors, I have the superintendent of the school board. We also have the mayor, and we also have the business community. So we kind of touch these different facets of, church and religion, as well as school, education. We have the college. And so really we're made to be this almost central point and catalyst to be a resource to connect all these different parts of a community into one place.
So you may not necessarily be helping me to hire a new employee, but you're a resource for me to find out where I can go to get that, or make that easier for me to do, or if I need financing for my business, or I need more exposure for my business. Am I using you more like that source?
Correct. Yes, as a resource, as a liaison. Again, chambers are structured differently based on potentially their contract with the city. So for example, Irving Las Colinas is more of an economic development. Also the large Dallas chamber, they assist the city's functions in economic development. Ours is more of an extension of the economic development in that we're just kind of the hands and feet of the business community. And then we're able to function as a liaison back to them and say, hey, here's the things that our members need. And it may be something from some beautification projects that another landlord or somebody adjacent to their property neglected. It could be something they have an issue with planning and zoning, or they got a fine, or they do need workforce development. We can help assist them or direct them to grants to just take one or two classes like accounting. So if a family has a family-owned business and their son or daughter wants to help out with the business, they might not necessarily plan to go for a whole degree, but they could take a class or two on accounting or HR practices. So we can help them. You hit
on a point that I really wasn't sure of too, and that's the relationship between the city of and the chamber. Is there a direct relationship? Are they connected, or is the chamber a sole operation on its own?
It depends which chamber it is. Some are fully private sector, private funded. We're still in the nonprofit business category. Others do have contracts in varying capacities with the city, including being an extension of the public sector, city's economic development department.
In those various capacities, is there a way to tell which chamber is responsible for certain items? So the Farmers Branch Chamber is more this, or the Plano Chamber is more that, or whatever that happens to be. And am I going to them for different resources maybe than what I would go to another chamber for?
Potentially, yes. So, I mean, right, you would, in theory, this would all be very clearly explained by their programs, by their website. So I don't know that I have the quick answer. Here's how you tell one way or another, except to ask them. They'll let you know whether they, work, in coordination with city economic development or if they're more of a private sector style chamber. So, but I think, again, kind of circling back to one of your previous questions about, chamber staying relevant is, really meant to be transformational for a community. And where I think a lot of, I wouldn't say necessarily it's chamber leadership, but I think a lot of companies, individuals, representatives' perception of the chamber is that it's a networking event or that it's simply transactional. And I think when we get too caught in that transactional, that's looking a little bit too much like horse trading or this and that, and there's going to be a finite point to that. When we're working together with the business, the schools, the city, to make a transformational community, transactions are going to happen by proxy. So I think, really staying relevant is staying transformational. It's staying community-oriented and driven and figuring out how do you, bring all these different facets of life together in one place.
And I can see the community aspects, the churches and the schools. How do we get the corporate America involvement at a bigger portion than what they currently on that 0.3%, the 40th floor, as I always like to call them? How do we get them more involved in the Main Street businesses through the chamber? Is that something that you consciously work on?
It is. So some companies totally get it, right? We have company like Coca-Cola, Atmos Energy, Reliant, Encore. These are all big names, and they again recognize that being a brand that's, supporting the community, engaging, that's experiential, people have fun at a casino night or a festival that your chamber hosts, right? You begin to create this whole experiential effect with the brand and with the chamber brands. And so it depends, I suppose, on what the business's agenda is. I would assume every business wants to be well known and have a good chance of market share. So to me, it's just kind of almost anywhere that you want to gain that market share, being part of a chamber will help you create awareness and gain market share. That being said, I feel like there's also a double side of this. Some people join a chamber and then never show up to anything and don't participate, and so we can't
be nice to our audience.
Well, yes. So I'm not trying to not be mean, but it's a two-way street. By joining the chamber, absolutely they're going to get more visibility, but that does require a level of engagement. We don't just become the marketing firm.
So if there was a common misconception on the part of business, is it that the business world sees this more as a little networking group as opposed to some of the other aspects that you've pointed out to us today? Is that one of the biggest misconceptions, or are there others?
Well, I'm going to be fair to both parties on that. That may be a misconception. It may be truth that some chambers have been reduced to networking events, and that there may be an opportunity in some organizations to raise that bar to bring more educational, content-rich business types of forums and roundtable discussions to their chamber. So it's not that there's a right or, but I think that, some have probably done a little too much of the networking style stuff, and that doesn't necessarily appeal to big corporate America. Coca-Cola doesn't need to really go shake hands with 20 people. They're Coca-Cola. Everybody knows who Coca-Cola is. So again, it just depends on the organizational needs and how they want to use it.
Maybe that your background maybe helps you in that. A little bit about you. You come from more of a traditional business background. Does that help you in where you are now?
Absolutely. So yeah, my background, so I sold, many people know this, I sold Cutco cutlery for over a decade. We do in-home referral-based sales. I moved up into management and worked in different facets of the company all the way up to the regional office. And so that definitely, I think, anytime somebody can gain sales experience, I'm a huge advocate of that, not just for career field in sales or marketing, but it really does give you a level of character and a perspective on business that I think is very unique. And I knew that when I was hired to take over this organization, every single day, I almost have that moment where I'm like, oh, you know what, I could tell that the skills that I gained through that background in sales and marketing and management really helped to hone and prepare me for this time and for this type of position.
I know you recently returned back from some sort of event.
I did.
On the West Coast. What was that all about?
So Winter Institute is hosted by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and my board of directors thought it would be valuable to invest in my professional development. And so that was a phenomenal program. Really, again, I think a lot of what you're hearing coming out of me today is birthed through that, and birthed through just the last couple of months as I have been seeing and assessing what's working and what's not working, what am I hearing from the members. A lot of it has just been, my time has been just spent hearing what's good, what would you like to see better, how can we bring you more value? And just through enough of those conversations, I'm tailoring, our programs to what our business needs.
So I have a local business. What's my responsibility? How do I participate more? Other than just participating in a network event, how do I help or assist the chamber in its mission to help my community?
Well, I always ask my team, my board members, my ambassadors, my staff, commit to excellence in what you can commit to excellence in. So for example, one of our board members, he's a photographer. And one of the gifts that he gives our chamber is his gift of photography for our events. He makes most ribbon cuttings and luncheons and things, and then he posts that on the website. And that's just a great way for him to contribute and give back. We have another person who is like the volunteer workhorse, and they're up early, they get the coffee, get the donuts, have everything set up like 30 minutes beforehand. And so I think that it's just whatever gift you have to give your community, give that gift. I'm not saying, give your business gift away per se, but right, like if you just have a gift of greeting people and being the friendly person, then just play that role when you can in your excellence.
And I don't necessarily use the word leverage in a bad way, but is there a way for me to leverage my relationship with the chamber to maybe host events or do something that really showcases my business a little bit more, or drives business to me in a manner that I wouldn't necessarily be able to do some other way?
Absolutely. And that is, right, a core function of value that is a chamber's responsibility to bring to business. And again, that will depend case on case on a business's needs, but sure, there's ways to leverage it. We have some ambassadors, who, for example, every time we have guests at a luncheon, we collect the cards, we put those in a spreadsheet, and then they will help handle just follow-up checking in. But at a lunch of 50, not everybody gets to meet everybody. However, that's a great way for them to just send a couple quick emails. And they don't have to be super businessy. It doesn't have to be asking for a sale, but just, hey, here's a coffee. And just a way to help feed your sales funnel and your referral funnel. And again, it's not, leading with the approach of just having dollar signs in your eyes, but just how can I make more relationships? By proxy, more relationships are going to translate to more transactions.
Okay, so the next segment I'd like to talk about really is we're kind of moving into more of a digital age, as you mentioned, and maybe there's other ways that we can leverage the digital relationship with you. So right now, we're going to step away for just a minute, get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back in a few.
We'll be right back with more Biz Points featuring Larry Kortkamp after these messages.
The American business economy is positioned as it has never been before. Professional videography is a core element for attracting a higher level of engagement with the people group you need for significant impact. Now is your time to shine. My name is Bill Brock, owner of White Rock Films, and I invite you to a powerful opportunity in the marketplace. An opportunity to draw excited people to your events, an opportunity to showcase your ideas on infrastructure, an opportunity to become known as the industry authority and enjoy the associated benefits of a strong, influential brand. Video highlights, video teaches. Video puts a resistant market at ease, and video stirs the hearts and imaginations of your allies and strategic client base. White Rock Films offers full audio, video production for businesses ready to embrace the future, handling your project with professionalism, experience, and polish unheard of in the industry. My name is Bill Brock, and White Rock Films wants your business. See us online at whiterockfilms.com.
Hi, welcome back to Biz Points. Today we're talking with Grace Speese, the Executive Director for the Farmers Branch Chamber of Commerce. Before the break, we were just kind of getting involved in ways that we participate as a business with the Chamber. And you had alluded to earlier that we're moving into more of a digital age. So is there something else that I can do to better leverage my business through the Chamber? Can I access the website? Do we do backlinks? Are they, obviously a lot of new terminology for social media interaction and so forth. Is there a way that I can better express what my business can contribute, and how can I leverage the Chamber to do that?
Absolutely. That's such a wonderful question. This is one of the things that we observe with our chamber is our members sign up and they get a portal, and it is so underutilized. On their Chamber Master page, they can put their Facebook link, a Google Maps link, like really fill out descriptions. They can put hot deals and specials. We have a member-to-member only program. So there's, I feel like, tons of resources that are readily available from most chambers that are just right now currently underutilized. So that's kind of a base level. I feel like I have a next level for your question.
Okay.
The next level of that would be, right, taking online presence in chamber membership a whole new direction, which is something I'm currently working on a project for, which is specifically developing like a search engine optimization and Google review program for our chamber businesses.
Interesting.
Because to me, more important than you having a great member portal on your Chamber Master is whoever having great Google reviews. Because a great Google review, that's going to feed into an algorithm and be there for years to come. As a city that has, God only knows how many people moving into it every day, they look for things on Google. Google feeds into the algorithms for DoorDash, for Uber Eats. So you benefit a new restaurant opening by helping to get some ratings, take pictures of your food. Sure, it is great to post on social media, on Facebook. That's going to give you the local regional recognition. But that Facebook post is probably only going to be visible to your friends and family for all of 24 hours. Whereas a Google review will be there permanently, indefinitely, short of you deleting it or, right, that kind of thing.
Well, and along those lines, I would assume that the viewership of the Chamber exposure on whatever social media site that we're looking at is probably much more extensive than my meager site or exposure is going to be. So being able to leverage your group is much. Speaking of which, what do we, for a chamber such as Farmers Branch, how many members, who's a member? How many businesses are members in something like that? Is it several thousand? What's your membership as a Farmers Branch?
So our chamber, I just took over, like I said, a couple months ago, and we just cleaned up all of our records. Right now we're sitting at about 210 members. I'm not sure if there is a typical percentage or market share. It just depends, I think, on the area, the nature of the businesses, that kind of a thing.
So we want to pump that number up. So we're covering some misconceptions. So in today's world, digital world, and you go out, you're trying to attract new customers. I call them customers. A business is a customer for you. So when you're trying to attract new businesses to the chambers, how do you do that?
Right now, our goal is to bring just new value, new content, and to be such a high caliber and transformational organization that we're not pitching people or really begging them to be our chamber members. Those who want to engage in something that's transformative, that's intergenerational, they'll come.
Gotcha. Well, obviously not every chambers have a Grace. We're fortunate in the Farmers Branch area that we do.
Thank you. I might almost cry.
I want to thank Grace for being my guest today on Biz Pointz. I'm glad she was here and enlightened us a lot about our local chambers of commerce, and I encourage all of you to support your local chamber, wherever that might be. I'm Larry Kortkamp, your host of Biz Pointz. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you again the next time.
You've been enjoying Biz Pointz with Larry Kortkamp, brought to you by the Kortkamp Group. To be a guest or request sponsorship information, contact the Kortkamp Group at 972-824-8002 today. Production and programming information requests for the OBBM network should be directed to Offbeat Business Media by calling 214-714-0495 or send your request to info@offbeatbusiness.com. Biz Pointz TV, podcast, and radio show are produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM network. Unauthorized use of logos, audio, video, or reproduction is strictly prohibited.